Anxiety and worry, those invisible chains that bind the soul, are the afflictions of those who lack mastery over their thoughts. They arise from an attachment to things beyond our control and a fear of the uncertain future. But let us not be deceived by these fleeting emotions. The Stoic way is clear. We are not helpless in the face of anxiety. Rather, we hold the power to shape our minds, to transform the way we respond to life's challenges. It is within our grasp to cultivate inner peace, to remain unshaken by the storms of worry. Through the wisdom of the Stoics, we shall learn not to fear the unknown, but to embrace it with calm resolve. This is the path we must walk, for only by mastering our thoughts can we truly master our lives. Let us begin. 1. The nature of anxiety and worry. Anxiety and worry are the burdens we place upon our own shoulders, the weight of which we carry with us through each day, as though they are an inevitable part of life. But in truth, they are nothing but shadows, born not of the world itself, but of our own minds. They are the product of our irrational thoughts, our attachment to things outside our control, and our fear of an uncertain future. The Stoic does not seek to live free from the trials and tribulations of life. Rather, he seeks to be free from the inner turmoil that arises when he fails to accept the natural order of things. We must understand that anxiety and worry are not inherent to the world, nor are they inevitable. They come not from external events, but from our own perception of those events. They arise when we give power to things that lie beyond our control, things like the opinions of others, the outcomes of our actions, or the winds of fate. When we are consumed by anxiety, we allow our minds to be held captive by the future, by what might be rather than what is. We worry about things that may never come to pass, giving ourselves over to the fear of imagined outcomes, many of which are beyond our power to influence. We allow these imagined futures to dictate our present, robbing us of the peace that comes from living fully in the moment. The Stoic understands that the only true moment is the present one. The past is gone, and the future is yet to be. In truth, they do not belong to us. What belongs to us and what we can control is the present moment, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to the world around us. The first step in eliminating anxiety and worry, then, is recognizing the nature of these emotions. Anxiety is not the result of external circumstances, but the result of our perception of those circumstances. It is not the storm that causes our suffering, but the way we react to the storm. Worry, too, is an illusion created by our minds, an excessive focus on outcomes that have yet to occur. The Stoic does not allow himself to be swept away by such thoughts. He understands that the future is uncertain and that his power lies not in shaping the future, but in shaping his response to it. When we are faced with an uncertain future, we must ask ourselves what is truly within our control. The answer, according to Stoic philosophy, is simple: we control only our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. The Stoic does not waste energy worrying about things beyond his control, for he knows that to do so is to relinquish his own power. Consider the words of Epictetus, who teaches us that we must distinguish between what is within our power and what is not. In his Enchiridion, he writes, "Some things are up to us and some are not. Things that are up to us are our own opinions, our own goals, our own desires, and our own actions. Things that are not up to us are the actions of others, the outcomes of events, and the course of nature." This distinction is crucial to understanding the nature of anxiety and worry. When we focus on things beyond our control, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. We allow ourselves to become victims of circumstances that we cannot change. But when we focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and responses, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety. Anxiety arises when we allow ourselves to become attached to outcomes. We worry about the future because we feel as though we must control it, as though our happiness and peace of mind depend on a particular outcome. This attachment to outcomes is a form of slavery. It is the belief that we are powerless without external circumstances aligning with our desires. But the Stoic knows that peace of mind is not found in the manipulation of external events, but in the cultivation of inner calm, regardless of what the world may throw our way. It is important to recognize that anxiety and worry do not serve us. They do not prepare us for the challenges ahead. They do not improve our decision-making or increase our ability to face adversity. On the contrary, they cloud our judgment, weaken our resolve, and rob us of our mental clarity. The Stoic seeks not to eliminate challenges, but to meet them with a clear and composed mind. Anxiety clouds this clarity and weakens our ability to act. It is a distraction from the task at hand, a weight that drags us down and prevents us from rising to the occasion. Let us not forget that anxiety is not a new affliction. It has been with humanity for as long as we have existed. The Stoics, in their wisdom, understood this well. They understood that the key to overcoming anxiety is not to eliminate the external sources of our worry, but to change our relationship with them. We must learn to view the world through a different lens, one that is not clouded by fear or attachment. We must see the world as it is, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and ever-changing, and accept it for what it is. When we accept the nature of life, with all its uncertainty and impermanence, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety. The first lesson then is this: anxiety and worry arise from our attachment to outcomes, our fear of the unknown, and our belief that we must control the uncontrollable. But once we recognize the true nature of these emotions, we can begin to free ourselves from their grip. We must remind ourselves daily that our peace of mind comes not from controlling the world, but from controlling our response to it. And in this practice, we find the path to inner freedom. 2. Recognizing what you can control. The foundation of Stoic thought rests upon a simple yet profound truth. There are things within our control, and there are things beyond our control. It is in our ability to discern the difference between the two that the key to inner peace lies. Anxiety and worry arise not from the world itself, but from our failure to recognize this distinction, from our futile attempts to control what is uncontrollable. When we focus on what lies outside our grasp, we invite frustration, fear, and despair. But when we focus on what is truly within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our judgments, we reclaim our power and free ourselves from the chains of anxiety. It is essential to understand that our minds are the only domain over which we have complete authority. The Stoic must train himself to focus on this domain, for it is the only thing that is unchanging and impervious to external forces. All things in the world, our circumstances, the actions of others, the whims of fortune, are fleeting and beyond our control. But the one thing that remains firmly within our grasp is our own response to these events. The Stoic philosopher does not allow himself to be buffeted by the winds of circumstance, for he knows that his peace is found not in the world's approval or in the outcomes of his endeavors, but in the steady mastery of his own mind. Epictetus, in his Enchiridion, teaches that we must differentiate between what is up to us and what is not up to us. He writes, "Some things are up to us and some are not. Our opinions, our goals, our desires, and our actions are up to us. The rest, whether it is the actions of others, the outcome of our efforts, or the course of events, are not up to us." It is in recognizing this division that the Stoic finds clarity and peace. When we focus on what is within our control, we empower ourselves to respond with wisdom, composure, and strength. But when we expend our energy on things beyond our control, we drain ourselves of the very resources we need to live virtuously. The Stoic must cultivate a mindset that continually reminds him of this distinction. We must practice the art of letting go of attachment to external outcomes, for it is these attachments that breed anxiety. We become anxious when we worry about things that lie outside our ability to change. Will the project succeed? Will we be accepted by others? Will life unfold according to our desires? These are the questions that plague the mind, and yet none of them lie within our control. The Stoic does not deny that such concerns arise. Rather, he acknowledges them and then sets them aside, recognizing that to dwell on them is to waste energy on what cannot be altered. The first step in mastering our inner peace is learning to release the need for control over external events. It is the natural inclination of the human mind to seek control, to desire certainty and predictability. We wish to shape the world to our will, to see our desires fulfilled in the manner we envision. But life does not conform to our wishes. The Stoic accepts that the world is unpredictable, chaotic, and outside of his command. And yet he does not despair. Instead, he embraces the wisdom that lies in accepting what is not within his power and focusing only on what is. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. What then can we control? Our thoughts, our judgments, our actions, and our reactions to the world around us. The Stoic focuses on cultivating virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. He makes it his life's work to cultivate a mind that is free from anxiety, free from worry, and free from attachment to external outcomes. This is not an easy task. It requires daily practice, constant reflection, and a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about our own minds. But the rewards are profound. When we master the things within our control, we become impervious to the turmoil of the world. We become unshaken by the unpredictability of life, and in this way we find true peace. Consider the words of Marcus Aurelius, who reminds us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the crux of Stoic philosophy, the recognition that our strength lies not in our ability to control the world, but in our ability to control how we respond to it. The Stoic does not fret over the outcome of his actions, for he knows that the only true measure of success lies in the integrity of his intentions and the steadfastness of his effort. When we act according to our principles without attachment to the results, we free ourselves from the tyranny of anxiety. This lesson requires us to practice constant vigilance. We must regularly remind ourselves of the limits of our control. When we find ourselves anxious about a situation, we must pause and ask, what is within my power here? What can I change? And what must I accept? We must learn to focus on what is in our power, the quality of our actions, the clarity of our judgment, the depth of our character. We cannot control the reactions of others, the events that unfold, or the outcomes of our endeavors. But we can control how we approach each moment, how we respond to adversity, and how we maintain our inner peace despite external challenges. In practicing this awareness, we cultivate a sense of inner calm that cannot be disturbed by the shifting tides of fortune. We begin to see the world not as something to be feared or manipulated, but as something to be accepted and engaged with in a virtuous manner. The Stoic is not passive. He does not resign himself to fate. Rather, he is active in shaping his character, in mastering his mind, and in cultivating the strength to endure whatever comes his way. And in this practice, he finds the serenity that others seek in vain. Thus, the second lesson is this: recognize what is within your control and focus your efforts there. Release your attachment to things beyond your control. Accept the world as it is, with all its unpredictability and imperfection. And in this acceptance, you will find the true freedom of the Stoic: freedom from anxiety, freedom from worry, and freedom from the tyranny of external events. 3. The power of perspective. The way we perceive the world shapes our experience of it. Our thoughts, beliefs, and judgments determine how we respond to every situation, how we interpret the events that unfold around us, and how we react to the people we encounter. The Stoic understands that the external world itself is neutral, neither inherently good nor bad. It is our perspective, our judgments, and interpretations that imbue it with meaning. The power to shape our experience lies not in changing the world, but in changing the way we view it. This is the crux of Stoic wisdom, the power of perspective. At the heart of Stoicism is the understanding that events themselves are not the cause of our suffering, but the meaning we attach to them. When something happens that we do not like, when we face adversity, when things go wrong, or when we encounter resistance, our immediate response is often to view it as a misfortune, something that should not be. We feel anxiety, frustration, and anger because we have decided that this event should not have occurred, that it is a disruption to our desires or expectations. But the Stoic teaches that it is not the event that causes our distress, it is our perception of the event. This is why the Stoic places such importance on cultivating the right perspective. When faced with difficulty or discomfort, the wise man does not see the event as something to be avoided or feared. Instead, he sees it as an opportunity for growth, a challenge to be faced with courage, resilience, and wisdom. The Stoic reinterprets every hardship as a chance to practice virtue, to refine his character, and to strengthen his inner resolve. What others see as obstacles, the Stoic sees as stepping stones on the path to becoming a better, stronger, and more virtuous individual. Consider the words of Marcus Aurelius, who reminds us the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This powerful insight speaks to the transformative power of perspective. The Stoic does not shy away from difficulty, rather he embraces it as an essential part of the journey towards self-mastery. When we shift our perspective and begin to see challenges not as hindrances, but as opportunities to practice resilience and virtue, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety and worry. We stop fighting against reality and begin to align ourselves with it. One of the key practices of the Stoic is the ability to reframe situations, to look at them from a different angle. When faced with something that causes discomfort or distress, we can ask ourselves, what is the lesson here? How can I grow from this experience? What virtues can I cultivate in the face of this challenge? The Stoic recognizes that no experience, no matter how difficult, is wasted. All things, both pleasant and unpleasant, contribute to our growth if we choose to view them in the right light. For example, let us say that you have failed at something you truly cared about. The natural reaction for many people is to feel defeated, anxious, or frustrated. They might see failure as a reflection of their inadequacy or a sign that they are not capable of succeeding in the future. But the Stoic does not interpret failure in this way. He sees failure not as a mark of his worth, but as an opportunity to learn, to identify his weaknesses, and to grow stronger. In this way, failure becomes a tool for growth rather than a source of anxiety. The Stoic understands that success and failure are but two sides of the same coin. Both are temporary, and both are opportunities for improvement. This ability to reframe is essential in overcoming anxiety. When we are anxious, it is often because we are anticipating a future that is beyond our control. We worry about what might go wrong, about the potential pain or discomfort we might experience. But the Stoic reminds us that we are not condemned to live in fear of the future. Instead, we can reframe our thinking and focus on what is within our power, the present moment, and our response to the challenges we face. In doing so, we free ourselves from the burden of anxiety and embrace the present with clarity and purpose. Another important aspect of perspective is the understanding that our judgments are often distorted by emotions, biases, and assumptions. Our minds are prone to exaggerating the negative, to focusing on what we lack rather than what we have. We tend to view events through the lens of our desires and fears, which distorts our perception of reality. The Stoic seeks to cultivate a clear and objective view of the world, one that is free from the distortions of emotion and attachment. By recognizing the biases in our own thinking, we can begin to see the world as it truly is, without the fog of anxiety clouding our judgment. One powerful tool for changing our perspective is the practice of negative visualization. The Stoics often recommended that we imagine the worst-case scenario, not to dwell in pessimism, but to train ourselves to be mentally prepared for any outcome. By contemplating the worst that could happen, we lessen its power over us. We realize that even in the face of adversity, we have the strength to endure, to adapt, and to persevere. This practice shifts our perspective from one of fear and anxiety to one of acceptance and resilience. We stop fearing what might happen and begin to embrace whatever comes, knowing that we can handle it with grace and wisdom. The Stoics' power of perspective is not a passive one. It requires constant practice and conscious effort. We must continually remind ourselves that our thoughts shape our reality. We must choose to see every challenge as an opportunity for growth, every failure as a lesson, and every discomfort as a chance to cultivate virtue. When we train ourselves to perceive the world in this way, we begin to see the world not as a source of anxiety, but as a source of wisdom, strength, and potential. In every moment we are faced with a choice. We can either allow our fears, desires, and attachments to shape our experience, or we can choose to see the world through the lens of Stoic wisdom, accepting what comes with calm and equanimity. The power of perspective lies in this choice. It is the ability to shift our focus from the things that cause us anxiety to the things that we can control: the way we think, the way we respond, and the way we live in accordance with virtue. Thus, the third lesson is this: the power to overcome anxiety lies not in changing the world, but in changing the way we see it. By cultivating the right perspective, we can transform our experience of life. We can learn to view challenges as opportunities for growth, failures as lessons, and discomfort as a chance to practice resilience. When we shift our focus from the external world to the internal world of our thoughts and judgments, we reclaim our power and find the peace that comes from living in accordance with nature. 4. Detaching from external events. To be truly free from anxiety, one must learn to detach from external events. We are all too often entangled in the world around us, caught up in the pursuit of things that lie beyond our control: wealth, fame, recognition, the approval of others. These things, though not inherently harmful, are fleeting and impermanent. When we attach ourselves too strongly to them, we risk losing our peace of mind the moment they are threatened or lost. The Stoic teaches us that true freedom comes not from acquiring or controlling external circumstances, but from liberating ourselves from dependence on them. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the understanding that the external world is beyond our control. We cannot determine the actions of others, the course of nature, or the outcomes of our efforts. And yet we often base our happiness on these very things, believing that if only we could control or secure certain external conditions, we would be at peace. This, however, is a path that leads only to frustration and despair. The Stoic recognizes that attaching his happiness to external events is to place his peace in the hands of the unpredictable and uncontrollable. This is not wisdom, but folly. To detach from external events is not to become indifferent or callous. It is not a denial of the world, nor is it an abandonment of the things we care about. Instead, it is the practice of accepting that we cannot control the world and that our happiness and inner peace must not depend on it. The Stoic does not reject the good things in life: love, friendship, success, health, but he understands that these things are transient. He enjoys them while they are present, but he does not attach his sense of worth or peace to them. When they inevitably change or fade, he remains steadfast, for his peace does not rest in their permanence, but in his ability to remain unshaken in the face of change. The Stoic's detachment is rooted in the recognition of what is within his control and what is not. We cannot control the actions of others, the outcomes of our efforts, or the events that occur in the world. To place our happiness in these things is to surrender our peace to forces beyond our control. Instead, the Stoic places his focus on that which he can control: his thoughts, his reactions, his attitudes, and his virtue. The Stoic's happiness is not contingent upon the world aligning with his desires. It is the result of living in accordance with nature and wisdom, of accepting what comes with calm and composure. This detachment is not born out of coldness or detachment from life itself. On the contrary, it is born out of a deep understanding of the impermanence of all things. The Stoic enjoys life fully, but he does so without attachment. He does not cling to things, people, or outcomes, for he knows that they are not permanent. Everything in this world is in a constant state of flux. What is here today may be gone tomorrow. The Stoic, therefore, does not attach his heart to the fleeting pleasures or sorrows of life, but to the unchanging principles of virtue, wisdom, and inner strength. Consider the words of Epictetus, who teaches us to make use of what is in your power and take care to give no attention to what is not. This is the essence of detachment, to focus on that which we can influence and to let go of that which is beyond our reach. When we accept that we cannot control the world, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes from trying to do so. We stop grasping at what is unattainable and begin to cultivate peace in the acceptance of what is. In practice, this detachment requires constant mindfulness. We must regularly remind ourselves that the external world is not the source of our happiness. When we face difficulty or disappointment, we must resist the temptation to tie our peace to the outcome. We must ask ourselves, what is within my control? How can I respond to this situation in a way that aligns with my values and principles? This practice of detachment is not about resignation, but about liberation. It is the freedom that comes from recognizing that we are not dependent on external circumstances for our sense of well-being. One of the most powerful tools for detaching from external events is the practice of negative visualization. By imagining the loss of what we hold dear, we prepare ourselves for the inevitable changes that life will bring. When we contemplate the possibility of losing something, a relationship, a possession, a goal, we begin to see it in its proper perspective. We recognize that the loss of external things is not the end of the world. What is truly important is how we respond to that loss, how we maintain our virtue and composure despite it. This practice helps us to detach from our attachment to external events and to ground our happiness in what is truly within our control. Detaching from external events also means letting go of the need for external validation. So often we base our sense of worth on the approval of others, on the recognition we receive from the world. This dependence on external validation is a fragile foundation for our self-esteem. It is dependent on the whims and judgments of others, which are often unpredictable and beyond our control. The Stoic, however, seeks to cultivate self-worth that is independent of the opinions of others. He knows that his value does not come from what others think of him, but from his ability to live virtuously and in accordance with his own principles. By detaching from the need for external approval, the Stoic frees himself from the anxiety that comes with seeking validation from others. Ultimately, the practice of detaching from external events is a practice of acceptance. The Stoic accepts the impermanence of all things and embraces the present moment as it is, without attachment to what has been or what might be. He understands that the world will not always go according to his desires, but he does not allow this to disturb his peace. He remains focused on that which is within his control, his thoughts, his actions, and his virtue. The lesson then is clear: detach from external events. Do not allow your happiness to depend on things beyond your control. Accept the world as it is, with all its uncertainties and changes, and place your focus on that which you can influence, the cultivation of your own mind and character. In this way, you will find freedom from the anxiety and worry that comes from clinging to what is fleeting. You will discover the strength to face any challenge with calm and equanimity, knowing that your peace is not dependent on the world, but on the mastery of your own mind. 5. Embracing discomfort. One of the most powerful practices in Stoic philosophy is the embrace of discomfort. In a world that often seeks pleasure, comfort, and ease, the Stoic recognizes that true growth and strength come not from avoiding difficulty, but from confronting and enduring it. The Stoic does not shy away from hardship, but actively seeks it out as a means to cultivate resilience, fortitude, and wisdom. The path to inner peace and freedom from anxiety is not found in the pursuit of pleasure or the avoidance of discomfort, but in the ability to face discomfort with courage and composure. At the heart of this Stoic practice is the recognition that discomfort is inevitable. Life is filled with challenges, setbacks, and difficulties. It is not a matter of if discomfort will come, but when. The Stoic understands that the natural response to discomfort is often resistance, whether it is physical pain, emotional distress, or mental strain. We tend to recoil from discomfort as if it is something to be feared or avoided. But this resistance to discomfort only magnifies its power over us. The more we fight against discomfort, the more it controls us. Instead, the Stoic teaches us to change our relationship with discomfort, to accept it as a part of life and to learn from it. Embracing discomfort is not about seeking out suffering for its own sake. It is not about becoming masochistic or punishing oneself. Rather, it is about developing the strength and resilience needed to endure and rise above the challenges that life inevitably brings. The Stoic faces discomfort not with a sense of dread or despair, but with a sense of purpose. He understands that it is through discomfort that he can cultivate virtue. It is in moments of difficulty that the Stoic has the opportunity to practice patience, courage, and self-control. The discomfort itself is not the problem. It is how we respond to it that determines whether we are strengthened or weakened. Consider the words of Seneca, who writes, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The Stoic understands that adversity is a teacher. It reveals to us who we truly are and what we are capable of. Without discomfort, there is no opportunity to practice resilience. Without challenge, there is no opportunity to build strength. Just as a muscle grows stronger through resistance, so too does the Stoic grow stronger through adversity. The practice of embracing discomfort can take many forms. It may involve exposing yourself to physical discomfort, such as fasting, enduring cold, or engaging in strenuous exercise. These practices are not ends in themselves, but tools for cultivating self-discipline, fortitude, and resilience. The Stoic does not see discomfort as something to be avoided, but as an opportunity to train his mind and body. By intentionally placing himself in situations that are uncomfortable, the Stoic learns to build his capacity for endurance and inner strength. In this way, discomfort becomes a means of empowerment rather than a source of fear. But the Stoic also understands that discomfort is not always physical. It can also be emotional and mental. The Stoic faces emotional discomfort, whether it is loss, disappointment, or frustration, with the same calm composure that he faces physical discomfort. He does not allow his emotions to dictate his actions, but instead he observes them with detachment, acknowledging their presence without being controlled by them. When faced with emotional discomfort, the Stoic practices the art of reframing. He asks himself, "What can I learn from this experience? How can I use this discomfort as an opportunity for growth?" In doing so, he transforms the pain of the moment into a source of strength. The Stoic's relationship with discomfort is rooted in the understanding that our perception of discomfort is often exaggerated. We tend to view discomfort as something intolerable, as something to be avoided at all costs. But when we face discomfort head-on, we often find that it is not as terrible as we imagined. In fact, many of the things we fear, whether it is failure, rejection, or pain, are often far less overwhelming when we confront them directly. The Stoic practices the art of facing discomfort with a sense of curiosity rather than dread. He understands that discomfort is temporary and that the strength and wisdom he gains from enduring it will last far longer than the discomfort itself. An essential part of this practice is learning to sit with discomfort. In a world that encourages instant gratification and the avoidance of discomfort at all costs, the Stoic recognizes the importance of patience and endurance. We live in a culture that often seeks to numb discomfort through distraction, entertainment, or indulgence. But the Stoic does not turn away from discomfort. He sits with it, observes it, and allows it to pass in its own time. By practicing this form of acceptance, the Stoic learns to develop a sense of inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. He becomes less reliant on the fleeting comforts of the world and more grounded in the steadiness of his own character. One of the most profound teachings on this topic comes from Epictetus, who advises, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The Stoic recognizes that he cannot control the events that bring discomfort into his life, but he can control how he responds to them. This is the essence of Stoic resilience: to face discomfort with calm, to endure difficulty with strength, and to maintain inner peace in the face of adversity. When we learn to embrace discomfort, we free ourselves from the tyranny of fear and anxiety. We stop avoiding life's challenges and begin to see them as opportunities to practice virtue and strengthen our character. The Stoics' practice of embracing discomfort is not about seeking out pain for its own sake, but about transforming our relationship with discomfort. It is about developing the ability to endure, to rise above, and to use every experience, no matter how challenging, as a tool for growth. By embracing discomfort, we learn to control our reactions, to cultivate resilience, and to develop the inner peace that comes from knowing that we can face anything that life throws our way. Thus, the lesson is clear: embrace discomfort. Seek it out not for its own sake, but as a means of cultivating resilience, virtue, and strength. When we stop avoiding discomfort, we stop allowing it to control us. We learn to face every challenge, whether physical, emotional, or mental, with courage and composure. In doing so, we transform discomfort from a source of anxiety into a tool for growth, empowerment, and peace. 6. The practice of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools in overcoming anxiety and worry. It is easy, in the midst of our daily struggles, to become focused on what we lack, what we wish were different, and what we feel we deserve. The mind, when left unchecked, tends to magnify the negative, highlighting what is missing or what could go wrong. The Stoic, however, teaches us to shift our attention away from what is lacking and toward what is present, cultivating a mindset of appreciation for what we have rather than lamenting what we do not. Gratitude for the Stoic is not a mere feeling or a passing emotion. It is a deliberate practice, a conscious decision to focus on the positive aspects of our lives, even in the face of difficulty. The Stoic understands that, though life may not always unfold as we would like, there is always something to be grateful for. Whether it is our health, our relationships, the lessons we learn from our challenges, or the very fact that we are alive and capable of growth, there is always a source of gratitude available to us. The Stoic practice of gratitude is deeply connected to the philosophy of living in accordance with nature. The Stoic recognizes that everything in life, even the hardships we face, is part of a greater order. It is through gratitude that we acknowledge this order and find peace in it. The Stoic knows that the world does not owe him anything, that he is not entitled to comfort or ease. He accepts that everything he has is a gift, whether it is the small pleasures of daily life or the opportunities for growth that come through adversity. One of the key aspects of the Stoic approach to gratitude is the ability to practice it in the face of difficulty. It is easy to be grateful when things are going well, when life is smooth and our desires are being met. But the Stoic teaches us to practice gratitude even in the midst of hardship, for it is in these moments that gratitude becomes most powerful. When we are faced with suffering, we have a choice. We can focus on the pain and the loss, or we can choose to find something, no matter how small, to be thankful for. It might be the lesson we learn from adversity, the strength we develop in the process, or the support of loved ones who stand by us in our struggles. Gratitude in these moments becomes a form of resistance against despair. It is a way of shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have, from what we fear to what we can appreciate. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently speaks of the importance of gratitude. He writes, "Be thankful for the things that come your way, for they have been given to you for your development." This is the Stoic understanding of gratitude, not as a passive feeling, but as an active practice that helps us grow. Every event in our lives, whether good or bad, can be seen as an opportunity for development. By embracing gratitude, we shift our perspective to one of acceptance and appreciation, understanding that all things contribute to our journey, to our growth, and to our ultimate peace. Gratitude also plays a crucial role in overcoming the tendency to compare ourselves to others. a source of much anxiety and dissatisfaction. In a world where we are constantly exposed to the successes and possessions of others, it is easy to fall into the trap of envy and longing. We begin to focus on what others have, on what we think we deserve, and on what we are missing. The Stoic, however, reminds us that comparison is futile and harmful. Instead of looking outward, the Stoic practices gratitude for what he has in his own life. He finds contentment not in what others possess, but in the value he places on his own circumstances, however simple or humble they may be. Gratitude frees us from the anxiety that comes from comparison, from the constant striving to attain what others have, and anchors us in the present moment. One of the most effective ways to cultivate gratitude is through daily reflection. The Stoic makes it a habit to reflect on the things he is grateful for, especially in moments when anxiety or worry arise. At the end of each day, the Stoic may take a few moments to pause and consider what he has to be thankful for. This practice not only helps to shift the mind away from negative thoughts, but also cultivates a deeper sense of appreciation for the small things in life that often go unnoticed. Whether it is the warmth of the sun on your face, the support of a friend, or the ability to think clearly, there is always something to be grateful for. The act of gratitude is also deeply connected to the concept of acceptance. The Stoic knows that not everything in life is within his control. There will be challenges, losses, and setbacks that he cannot change. But by practicing gratitude, the Stoic accepts these realities with grace. He understands that these difficulties are not necessarily bad, but are part of the natural order, part of the life he has been given. In embracing gratitude, he frees himself from the tendency to resist or resent the challenges that arise. He chooses instead to be thankful for the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become more resilient. Furthermore, gratitude can be a source of joy. By focusing on the positive aspects of life, no matter how small, the Stoic brings more joy into his day. It is not a joy that depends on external circumstances, but a deep internal joy that comes from recognizing the beauty and abundance in the world around him. Gratitude allows the Stoic to savor life's simple pleasures, the laughter of a friend, the beauty of nature, the warmth of a meal, and to find contentment in these moments, rather than constantly seeking more or different experiences.